Well, hello there, you beautiful, beautiful people. I hope you are all well on this fabulous, fabulous Thursday. Thursday, that's right. Now, you need to keep your eye on the channel. Keep an eye because I've got a big announcement coming up. Oh, I say announcement. I've got some things to cover. Like some of you will have wondered what happened to Milo. That's all going to be revealed tomorrow and alongside another announcement. So, yes. If you're excited for announcements or like announcements, be here tomorrow. Anyway, we're getting straight into the meat and potatoes as we have the Idaho 4 case, the case that just keeps on giving. Now, it doesn't give us things that we want, especially justice for the victims. Now, I can imagine that the victims' parents, especially one in particular, Steve, he is likely going to be kicking walls today. Because look, even though people say we want this to be done right, we want it to be done proper, but something tells me this is not a move in the direction to make things done right and make things done proper. This is actually put in a situation where this could now be dragged out for the next 2, 3, 4 years. And that's the truth. That's the truth of it. That could literally now be a case of let's just keep this in the background, keep it out of the courtroom until everything dies down. The media hype dies down, the YouTubers get something else to talk about, perhaps they wait for another big case where everybody's doing videos and they just sneak it in there and the rest is history. Maybe we won't even see it happen. Maybe it will just be a case of later on down the line someone will think, whatever happened to Bryan Kohberger? And it will turn out that he was shot. Who knows? But what I do know is this, and that is that if there are people around this case that are watching things and they are today thinking to themselves, Bryan Kohberger is definitely guilty, there is nothing that can convince me otherwise. I've seen everything I need to see to convince me that he is a guilty man, guilty as charged, and I can't wait to see him put up against that wall and shot, then I would say that you have not been paying attention. And look, what I think happens here is people get it in their mind early on that a perpetrator is guilty, or they've got they think he's innocent, or they're on the fence and they just believe in due process. They think, look, he's entitled to a fair trial regardless of whether he's innocent or guilty. Do you know what I mean? But the people who have convicted him in the mind, they're not interested in all this other stuff. They're not interested. And when they're then looking at the information that a specific creator, maybe they've got a favourite creator who is also on that same path and won't touch on anything that brings things to the front that make you go, really? And we're going to touch on something in a second. And, you know, they're blinded to it. They don't see it. They're protected and put in this bubble of guilty Bryan. This is guilty Bryan bubble. That's what we're going to call it. Guilty Bryan bubble. And not the let's get everything out on the table and have a look at everything. Like what has happened with this witness who came forward. Stephanie Vargas. Stephanie Vargas is a professional in the field, a very, very, very professional DNA expert. She knows her shit, I've said it before. And it would appear that after she's come forward and given her affidavit, one of them, and she has given all that forward, what happens? She is then questioned by the FBI. Why the fuck would they question her when you've got other people in other places who are saying the exact same thing? You know, it's not, this is just a professional stepping in for someone who's facing the death penalty to say, look, I'm a professional and this is my thoughts and this is what I think, this is what I see, this is what I know, and who are the FBI to come along and what it would seem to be potentially intimidate. And then just a few days later, we have a situation where Bryan Kohberger waives his right to a speedy trial. And look, there's two sides of the story here, and later on today in video 2, because this is video 1, depending on how you've seen them, there's 2 videos today. Hopefully you've seen them in the right order, because they'll make more sense. But we have the pro system, the proper system people. I'm not going to say the pro Bryan Kohberger people, because it's not about being pro Bryan, it's about being pro fairness. And if you're pro fair, and your thoughts are going to be, hold on a second, you know, he right up until this point, he was wanting a speedy trial. He's now waived his right to a speedy trial, and why is that? Now, the only thing that makes sense if you're sort of pro-system is that his legal team have kind of said, we do not have the time in order to now do what we need to do. And, you know, this few days extra or a month extra even is going to push us beyond. You know, this legal process is so structured in a way that even if it was only going to take you 3 or 4 days over that period in order to get your ducks in a row, that's too much. It's too many days. And we know that the prosecution all the way along have dug their heels in and fucked and farted around, not handing stuff over, not playing ball. And I think the skeptic in me makes me think that this was their thoughts all along. This was their plan all along. This was their plan. They had a weak-ass case, and they thought, do you know what, we're gonna hold off, we're gonna hold back, and eventually he's gonna have to waiver his rights to a speedy trial, because it would have been taking a punt, because they're gonna be fearful of a trial by ambush, I'm sure. But there is something in the back of my mind that I'll touch on in the video later on today. But look, for now, what I'm gonna say is, yeah, he just doesn't have the time. They don't have the time to get all their ducks in a row, because as we know at this point in time, they don't have everything. They don't have everything that they've requested. They haven't had time to go over it. They haven't had time to get their own witnesses or counter, you know, look into things themselves. They haven't had the DNA situation sorted. They haven't been able to test any DNA themselves. You know, these 3 other samples, have they managed to obtain it? Have they managed to test it themselves, which they're entitled to? But look, at the end of the day, it's done. It's done, he's waived his right, and this trial could now go on for, well, I say go on, it could now pause for a long period of time. But all I'm going to say is we need to keep our eyes and ears peeled. I, for one, are going to be someone who will be keeping my eyes and ears peeled. I'll be checking docs, I'll be checking for updates on the daily, and as things come forward, I will let you know so this does not get forgotten about, because there is a big danger that this was the plan all along. Get it out of the limelight, get the lights, get it off the stage, and hopefully we can do something when people are, the Kansas City Shuffle, look over there, wait, we got it over here, and he's a goner. Let me know down below what you think. You know, this Stephanie Vargas situation with the FBI, was it right? Are they right in what they're doing, or is it wrong? Is it just procedural for them to bring someone to the side and say, hold on a second, it would seem that you're trying to say that we do dodgy things and we don't, when they fucking do? And, you know, or is it something a little bit more devious? And again, is it about intimidation? Is that what we're seeing here? But like I said at the beginning, if you're someone who thinks there's nothing shady in this case, there's nothing weird going on, and this is just normality, then yeah, I don't think you're paying attention. I don't mean that, I mean that with the best intention. I'm just saying that you need to, you know, look at everything, take everything in, listen to a few other people, not people who are, you know, solely crowdfunded and people like that. Do you know what I mean? You've got to listen to everyone. I'm not saying that everything you hear is right, but there are things in there that are things that you need to listen to, need to pay attention to, do your own homework, do your own research, because it kind of opens your mind a little bit to what other things are going on, what should have happened, what didn't happen, and where we've got to get, well, what's put us in this situation we're in now, because we shouldn't really be. But I'll catch you all in the next one.